We just learned the truth about the Lane Hutson situation on multiple levels, including the expectation from Montreal for his next contract, and the one comparable that has been brought up that makes the situation even better than we anticipated. But it's not just the contract situation. An NHL source has revealed the real reason why Lane Hutson was not invited to the Team USA orientation camp this summer, and the reason, well, maybe not so surprising, but very frustrating nonetheless. And beside the Lane Hutson stuff, we got to talk about NHL.com's recent fantasy projections, and with a specific focus on a couple of young Habs that they're giving some pretty high praise to. All that coming up on this episode of Habs Digest, and we'll start there with the fantasy projections. NHL.com, this is linked down below. Go check it out. They have a bunch of different players from our team. Now, on the channel, we have already covered Suzuki and Hutson, but there's a few other guys we wanted to mention today, and why not start with our boy Slaf, Jesse? Look, they're very conservative in their fantasy models, as they probably should be, right? Fantasy hockey, people, spend money on this. Like, they don't want to go too crazy. But for so many guys in the Habs that had like mild point increases or decreases, Slaf jumps up to 63 points in their model after scoring 51 last year. And this is the biggest jump from what I've seen of any Hab, other than maybe the guy that we'll talk about in a second. But I love that there's models kind of across the board predicting a breakout year for Slaf. NHL.com, a lot of advanced metrics. We're just in for something big. They're talking about it on TSN and RDS, all this stuff. And it's all leading to something really, really nice for our boy Slafzilla.
And I think right on the money with 63, we can really expect that. And again, Slafkovsky is coming into this season with expectations of 65 to 70 for himself. So it's nice as kind of he's growing, so is his expectations. I love that he's just owning this early on. But Josh, we know like what a difference this would really make. Like obviously, if he's getting these 63 points, that means more goal scoring. It means setting up more players, probably starting off earlier on the season, just impacting this team earlier on. The quicker that he can get going, the more this team will get going, and obviously very much help in our playoff aspirations, and really is so important to get us to that next level. I will just digress and give a quick shout out to Lane Hutson. 70 points here in this rankings here from the NHL.com. Again, he's been getting maybe a little bit of shade recently. Some people saying that his point totals might go down from last year. I think this is right in line here with 70 points. I love this. Need to just give this a big, quick little shout out. Back to Slaf real quick. What's the reason why, Josh, that I think that they're well founded at 63 points? Again, like that was kind of right on the money for me when I was kind of thinking about this, in preparation for today's video. I think a big part of that, Josh, is the physical play.
Yeah.
Is he's showing it now where it's not like kind of some random thing. Like he actually led the Montreal Canadiens in hits last year with 194.
A lot.
For me, signals, Josh, exactly, that he knows what he needs to do to be successful now, playing that physical game, and the points are going to come as a result.
100%. Look, I mean, the guy has the size, like you can see here. I mean, this is a real shot of his off-season training and what he's been doing in downtown Montreal.
Look at those quads. Yeah,
exactly. He's learning from Marty, right, on these quads. But you're absolutely right. The physical play, unlocking first half Slaf, unlocking that effort and intensity, like we're seeing from the rebuild season 2. Like he was trying so many different things. It wasn't working in the first half last year. He's done with the learning phase. He's still going to learn a lot. But that learning on how to get to that high level is, I would say, pretty close to done after this playoff run. So really excited to see him. But there's one other guy we got to talk about too. And I did decide to show like, hey, take a look for Jacob Fowler. They have Monty at 32 wins, but it's Demidov. I wanted to make this screenshot big enough to see as well. Ivan Demidov, point projection 61. This is really, really cool to see as well. And again, our boy Demigod, like we know we have high expectations for him. I think Habs fans would be thrilled if he got 60 points in his rookie season. You have to imagine that's going to be a Calder caliber season, barring something else that's crazy. I mean, hey, you never know what kind of guys could come out of the woodwork and surprise you with their rookie seasons. But Ivan Demidov at 61, again, Jesse, like in a model that's pretty conservative, has Suzuki jumping up by 1 point, Hutson jumping up, which is good, by 4, Caufield jumping up by like 1 or 2, and even Dobson a mild jump back to 51. To have the rookie Demidov up at 61 and Slav jumping up to 63 is just so cool to see. And like I said, models that tend to not want to go too overboard on certain players.
Yeah, which again is a reason why we should really value when they are giving this uptick here to Demidov here. I think that's totally fair. I'm going to probably have him at about 64 points myself, probably just a couple up, but very reasonable. Like, we can't rule out the fact, though, Josh, or the opportunity, I should say, that Ivan Demidov has the chance to have a better rookie season than Lane Hutson. Now,
Yeah.
that's going to be very hard considering the historic season Lane Hutson had. In no way should we discount that. It's a very high barrier. But if there's one guy that can do it with the skill level and work ethic to potentially match and surpass Hutson here, it's Demidov. Just because, again, he's coming with just such a natural skill set. The size isn't as much of an issue. We saw what he could do, getting points right away early on coming into the NHL. I think was really good proof and point here that he's going to come start having an impact. Looking for multi-point games early on. This is a guy that can really get it in bunches. And I think, Josh, that 61 is they're predicting here, and I think even capable of getting more, that's going to be enough for him to lock down the Calder. And this, Josh, when you were becoming a playoff team, but then knowing that we have this foundation in the future of having the past rookie winner and Hutson and having guys like Demidov that you have to feel are going to be strongly in the running here for it. Like, it just sets up this amazing future of really having your cake of being in the playoffs and eating it too with all the prospects to really keep you there over the years.
And not to mention, again, the production on rookie scale deals, these small contracts, is so valuable for a team ready to compete. And again, like, it depends how Montreal season starts to go, but if you get 61 points from Demidov on his salary, you're in a really good position with, at least for roster construction as well, heading into the deadline or whatever. So some amazing stuff there. Go check out the other players in their article as well for fantasy projections. There's some interesting guys like Laine and Bolduc, but maybe we'll save them for another time. But right now, we got to get into the big parts of this video, Jesse, and we'll start with Lane Hutson. Now, look, we've been talking about Lane Hutson, of course, in this video a couple times, and we know he wasn't invited to that Team USA orientation camp, and we got confirmed the other day. We talked about it again, but in an RG.org article that is linked down below again as well, please go check it out because there's more than just what we're going to show. Go give them the credit they deserve. There was a quote from an NHL source on the real reason Hutson wasn't invited, and let's go check it out. He said he didn't go to the World Championships. That's the first part, and that matters. So if Hutson really wanted to be at this camp, he should have been there for the World Championships. Guys like Jackson Lacombe, guys like Alex Vlasic were there, and that made a big difference. They helped Team USA make that push. But then you also have them saying, look, all that will be decided from October to December on the ice. So if Hutson does go out and does what he did for long stretches last season, I still think because of the injury history of some of the guys going to the camp, he has a chance to make the Olympic roster. But they keep doubling down on this fact that, look, having Lane Hutson is maybe redundant with a guy like Quinn Hughes, right? And, you could easily argue Laine should be there over Luke Hughes, though Luke Hughes is obviously a great player as well. I'm not throwing shade at these guys. But again, like you saw a season, like, I get it. Politics play a role in this, Jesse, and, being familiar with, Team USA, their management, their staff, this kind of stuff, it does matter. But at the end of the day, to hear this, like, again, seeing the names of some of the guys, like, I get it. Look, you go to the camp, you go to the World Championships before, you get priority treatment, but it still just leaves, I don't know if I want to say a sour taste in my mouth, because it's not anything new. It kind of drives me nuts at the same time.
There had to be a reason, considering that Lane Hutson is one of the best upcoming players in the NHL right now. So very interesting to kind of get some insight. I kind of want to hear a little bit more. I had my suspicions regarding this, Josh, but again, it's not very new. We saw it even happen with Nick Suzuki here. Yeah. But again, like, we're starting a petition in the comment section, Josh. Free Lane Hutson. Type free Lane Hutson down below. Lane Hutson for captain of Team USA 2026 here going forward. But yeah, like, I will agree, like, this is Habs Digest, full transparency, but I'm taking Lane Hutson over Luke Hughes.
Oh, yeah.
Any day of the week here going forward. And an interesting note that this isn't completely over, but, like, we know that he can play the offense, but there's so much made of, like, that Lane Hutson can't play defense when really, like, he can play defense as well. In fact, he's third in the league in takeaways after Jaccob Slavin, usual suspect there, Cale Makar, one of the best defensemen in the league, period. Then you have Lane Hutson at 56 takeaways last year. Again, the only other American on that list, Jaccob Slavin here going forward, considering all the offense that he does. And by the way, that totally passes the eye test watching all the Habs game last year. Like, this is a guy that steals the pucks. He just, despite his size, he finds a way to get good body position and bring the puck the other way quickly. And I agree that there's, like, I would say there's definitely a lot of value, Josh, not only to be able to take away the puck, but it's also, this is a guy that can then make something happen very quickly, quick stretch passes. Can obviously take out the puck from himself there. It's so good at those controlled zone entries, breakouts from there. So for me, like, Lane Hutson's bringing everything to the table. It's not completely over. I just want to see him getting that respect over the time. This is normal part of it. But the thing is that, like, Lane Hutson is putting the Habs first in a certain way sometimes, and that's maybe where it's hurting him. But it's just like, like Team USA really shouldn't be discounting like Lane Hutson's work ethic. If there's one thing, because we know this guy's always putting work in behind the scenes here going forward, but I think we're going to see him get his respect over time. And Team USA will, I think, be a lot better for that very fact.
Yeah, and he's going to make himself inevitable. The Laine train's going to come to the town near you very soon. Look, he's going to make them regret the choice. And I think that's kind of the end game here. It's like, look, Lane Hutson with a chip on his shoulder is better than Lane Hutson with no chip on his shoulder, in my mind. Like, look, obviously I'd love to see him play in the Olympics, and it's not an impossibility. And, am I really going to sit here and say that him not being selected to the orientation camp is actually better for the Habs? Maybe. I mean, that's hard to say. But at the same time, I just know that Lane's going to want to prove people wrong. He's proved doubters wrong his whole life. He's ready to do it again. So, again, free Lane Hutson. Free Lane Hutson. See him play in the Olympic team. And even if not, hey, we'll see what he can do for Montreal. But there is another big update on Lane Hutson, and that's when it comes to his contract, Jesse. And we've been talking a lot about his contract. We were starting at 10, 11, to 11.5 million in our discussions. And then when Dobson signed for 8 years, 9.5, maybe that came down. Oh, man, like if we got Hutson for like 10.5, it'd be great. But then the number kept going down because, you got to look at it like, oh, the RFA years are the years you're buying out instead of UFA years. And so there was a recent report here from Frank Saravalli, Lane Hutson extension. I don't think that there's been a ton of progress, but I think they had some initial talks and they are still looking at that. I think the ballpark is in that Brock Faber range. I said Brock Faber. Anyway, 8.5 million AAV, but I don't think it's the AAV specifically. I think I saw Marco D'Amico say this as well, but like this is kind of naturally what you're thinking. AAV right now, Jesse, with the rising cap doesn't mean as much. It's more percentage of the cap, right? And again, with players now wanting to have maybe shorter deals so they can make more bank later, Brock Faber's contract is 8.9% of the cap this past year. So 8.9% of his 8-year contract, that would land Hutson. Look, if Hutson was at 9 or 9.5%, you're talking in that $9.5 to $9.75 million range, which is right around Noah Dobson's numbers. So, Jesse, what I'm hearing, what we're seeing here is if that's the goal, a Brock Faber type cap percentage, maybe 9-ish% of the cap, we could very well be talking a contract lower than Noah Dobson, if not even with Noah Dobson. And I feel like this is something that when we were talking Lane Hutson extension, I know a lot of us were like, man, if we could get him for Dobson's price, we'd be laughing. That's what I think a lot of people, maybe not even Habs fans, said. And now, more than ever, it's actually looking like that could very well be a reality here.
And I'm on the record at 9.3, 9.4 here going forward. But if that is the case of what we can get him for, sub Dobson, you want to get this guy in a hotel room to sign that contract as soon as possible here going forward, because that would just be completely unreal, Josh. Like the fact that we have guys that want to stay here. Patrik Laine is saying he wants to stay here. Nick Suzuki, Caufield, they're not shy about how they feel about the Canadiens. Seems like Demidov's nothing but good vibes. Like, it's one thing getting good players, Josh, but it's another thing getting them to want to stay here. And then somehow at this amazing deal that it's looking like we're going to get with Hutson. Again, just like a gem of a dream situation where he's like that good on the ice, but then off the ice. And totally a character guy, which factors into this, which is what's been my assumption with this is like the reason why I think he's going to be sub Dobson and just slightly because he still knows his value is because he knows and his agent that they're buying less RFA years for him going forward. And then also the fact that a big thing that you get from Hutson, Josh, and feel free to let us know in the comment section if you agree, but it's like this is a guy that really has shown a lot of respect towards the veterans. Yeah. You can tell about it. It's like whether it's not about like, Mike Matheson or Nick Suzuki, you can tell he just respects the structure of this team and it matters for him. Like him coming up, like right away, he wants to get paid, but he doesn't want to step on toes either. And he understands the value of relationships, especially long-term as this team is growing together and it's players he's going to be playing with for long periods of time. So I don't know how we just got so lucky that this situation is just following into our laps, Josh. But if this happens like before the season begins, Hughes and the rest of Habs Nation is going to have to be dancing for joy.
Oh man, for sure. And like, it does add an interesting wrinkle too that he can't be offer sheeted next year. So like, there's no real pressure necessarily to get this done before a window. Like they can also take their time, but like again, if he signs before then, that is just going to be nothing but good news. Like you said, we're going to be jumping for joy. Like we got him. It's done. We don't have to worry. Just like with all these other guys. Like I can't wait. I actually can't wait to see how this goes. And if it's really that Brock Faber-ish percentage, let's say 9 to 9.5, a bit above Faber, because because let's be honest, Hutson probably deserves it. Unreal. Like, that would just be so unreal for the long-term future of the Montreal Canadiens. Cannot wait to see what happens. Leave your thoughts on this down below. How hyped would you be if that was the case? Oh, cannot wait to see what's going to go down. But listen, that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for tuning in every single day, all off season long. We're getting close to the season, Jesse. Oh, can't wait to see what's in store. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.